Over the 28 years that I've lived type 1 diabetes, I've had plenty of hypoglycemic episodes, also called low blood sugars, and that awful feeling, yeah, that never goes away. When blood sugars drop really low, it's like your body goes into full-on survival mode. I start to shake, I sweat, my brain slows down, and all I want to do is eat everything in sight. And it makes sense. Once your blood sugars drop down below 70 milligrams per deciliter, you start losing cognitive function, your brain is not getting enough glucose. And that's when your body starts to release ghrelin. That is the hunger hormone. And it's basically yelling at you, eat something. But what should we eat? What works the fastest without putting us on the blood sugar roller coaster? In this video, I'll count down the 10 best foods to quickly raise blood sugars to healthy, safe levels, as well as a low treatment that might surprise you. It's something a lot of people grab during a low, but it's actually not a great choice. Let's start the countdown. Number 10, cake. I get it. When you're low, cake sounds amazing. But all that fat and frosting can actually slow down the carbs that you need to feel better quickly. Here's the deal. Yes, cake has a lot of sugar, but depending on the type of cake, it only has a medium glycemic index of around 40 to 60. The glycemic index is an indication of, well, how fast will a food raise blood sugars. The general recommendation is to eat 15 grams of carbs to treat a low blood sugars. That would be a small slice of cake or about half a slice of cake. And the thing is, you'll most likely see an impact on your blood sugars. It might just not be super fast. And you know what? That blood sugar impact might linger for hours. The issue here is the fat content. Most cake has plenty of fat, usually a lot of butter, makes it really tasty. But the issue with that is that it can slow down digestion, meaning we see a slower increase in blood sugars. Not really what we're looking for when we're trying to get blood sugars up quickly. And that is the reason why it's all the way down at the bottom as number 10 on my list. Number 9, ripe bananas. Bananas are a great natural option and they're really easy to digest, but it's not the option that'll raise your blood sugars the fastest. So I don't use them for very low blood sugars. I'll have half a banana if my blood sugars are trending low and I'm trying to catch it before it gets down to that uncomfortable territory. A ripe banana only has a glycemic index around 51, meaning it will only raise blood sugars moderately. The good thing about bananas are they're all natural, they're fairly portable, and they'll provide you with around 15 grams of carbs in half of a large banana. But the downside, well, they don't work the fastest. If your blood sugars are dropping quickly, the carbs might take too long to hit your bloodstream. Still, I think it's a great option for a mild low or for a follow-up after treating a more serious drop. And I really like the taste of bananas. Number 8, fruit pouches. Okay, hear me out on this. These are brilliant, especially at night. You don't have to store them in the fridge, so I just have it next to my bed. So at night, I don't want to be chewing anything when I'm having a low blood sugar. I just wake up, I grab this, I drink it, it's 15 grams of carbs. I don't have to leave my bedroom. So there's no risk of me going into the kitchen and going full on Cookie Monster. The glycemic index isn't super high though. It's generally between 40 to 60 depending on the type, which is probably because it still has a fairly high fiber content. It'll still hit your bloodstream faster than a whole piece of fruit, but it's not as quick as pure glucose. So for me, I think they work really well for a mild to moderate low blood sugar. Just remember to check the label. Look at the back of the pouch. Some of these have reduced carbs or an increased fiber content, and that's not really what we're looking for when you're trying to treat a low blood sugar. Number 7, raisins. 2 tablespoons or a small box of raisins are one of those tiny but mighty options. With the glycemic index around 66 and roughly 15 grams of carbs in a small box of raisins, they can raise your blood sugars back up relatively quickly. They're portable and fairly mess-free, making them pretty perfect for stashing in your pocket or in your bag. Just be cautious. They're pretty easy to overeat, and those carbs will sneak up on you. This used to be my gym go-to, not so much to treat low blood sugars, but rather as a portable snack to help prevent low blood sugars from happening in the first place. If my blood sugars weren't quite high enough before a workout, or if I had too much insulin on board, I usually eat a half to whole pack of raisins before starting my workout, and that would do the trick for me. I'm not quite sure why I stopped doing that. I should start doing that again. Number 6, table sugar. This one's old school, but effective. If you're in a pinch and near a sugar bowl, this works like a charm. If I'm at a cafe or a diner and my blood sugars start to drop, I find this to be a pretty good option. To get 15 grams, you'll need 1 tablespoon, so about 3 teaspoons, of plain white sugar. Yep, just spoonfuls of it gets the job done. With a glycemic index of 65 and no fat, no fiber, table sugar works pretty effectively. It's fascinating though. that it doesn't work even faster, and it's only number 6 on my list. But that's because table sugar is sucrose, which is actually a mixture of glucose and fructose. I prefer to mix it with water. Also, you don't want it to go into the wrong pipe. Having to cough up sugar is no fun. Number 5, honey. I know a lot of people who prefer non-processed or what they perceive as more natural options to treat low blood sugars really like honey. And overall, it's not a bad choice. Honey is one of the oldest remedies for a reason, and it tastes really good. It has a slightly lower glycemic index than table sugar at 58, but it still works relatively fast. To get 15 grams of carbs, you'll need to consume about 1 tablespoon. Plus, it can be absorbed under the tongue. So if you don't want to swallow or chew anything, it might be a good option. And that's why I think honey has a slight edge over table sugar, and why honey is number 5 and not number 6 on this list. Number 4, candies. Now let's talk about candy, and here I want to focus on Lifesavers. Appropriate name, right? So there are Lifesavers gummy, there are Lifesavers hard candies. There's also some sugar-free Lifesavers options. Don't choose those. With a glycemic index around 80, Lifesavers will raise your blood sugars super fast. They might take a little time to eat if you choose the hard candy, but they're really easy to carry around, and you might actually enjoy the taste. Since there are different types of Lifesavers, always remember to check the nutrition label. But these hard candies will give you 15 grams of carbs from just 4 candies. Candies are not my preferred choice. Not because they won't raise blood sugars, but because I have a very large sweet tooth. So having candy around is really hard for me. I tend to end up snacking on it when I'm not having a low blood sugar. Also, different candies will impact blood sugars differently. One thing is Lifesavers, but if you reach for example, gummy bears or something else, it might hit your blood sugars a little differently and you might need different amounts. They will work though. Just remember to not pick the sugar-free version. I will recommend though that before you have a low blood sugar, you research how much you need and you measure it out. Because once you're having a low blood sugar and you're ready to eat everything, it's going to be really hard to research and measure out exactly how much candy to eat. Number 3, orange juice. Orange juice is a classic, and for a reason. With glycemic index of 66, no fats and very little fiber, it acts fast. Just 4 ounces, so that's half a cup, will give you the 15 grams that you need. And it's especially handy when you don't want to be chewing. So overall, it's a great choice, but I don't know about you. I don't want to be pouring out, measuring out orange juice when I'm having a low blood sugar. So here's a trick. I buy the juice boxes for children. So the small ones, they generally have 12 to 15 grams of carbs. Remember to just check the label. So that means no pouring juice with shaky hands. I just grab a juice box, plop in a straw, and I drink my juice. We're almost through the list, quickly getting to that most effective way of treating a low blood sugar. And we also have to talk about that one maybe surprising mistake that I see people do when they try to treat a low blood sugar. But first, here is number 2 on the list, and that is Coke or other sugar soda. Regular full sugar soda is another quick fix with a glycemic index around 63. Just 4 ounces of, for example, Coke or Sprite is enough to give you 15 grams of carbs. Just make sure it's not diet though. Those won't help you if you're having a hypo. Soda works well in emergencies or if you want to bring up your blood sugars without having to chew. And soda is something that you can get your hands on in most places. So for example, my husband liked full sugar soda. So if my blood sugars are starting to drop, sometimes I'll have a sip of his. It's funny, I don't drink full sugar soda anymore. I did before my diagnosis, but I don't really like it anymore. But I think like most people, I don't mind it either. Number 1, glucose tablets. And now we get to the winner, what I think is the most effective way of quickly raising blood sugars without getting on the blood sugar roller coaster, and that is glucose tablets. Glucose tabs are my favorite. I always bring tabs with me. I bring them with me when I travel. Actually, I bring them with me whenever I leave my home. I know glucose tabs gets a lot of hate. A lot of people dislike them. They say that they taste like eating chalk. But I think you're just buying the wrong glucose tabs. And glucose tabs are the gold standard when it comes to raising blood sugars. With a glycemic index of 100, it doesn't get any faster than this. Depending on the glucose tabs that you choose, you'll need 3 to 4 tabs to get 15 grams of carbs. And the beauty of this is that they're predictable, they're portable, and they're easy to dose. Granted, they might not be as tasty as candy or juice, but they're really reliable, and they won't spike your blood sugars too high if dosed appropriately. That was top 10. And as you might recall, I also want to highlight that one maybe surprising mistake that I see a lot of people do, and that is to reach for chocolate. Chocolate might sound like a great idea when you're having a low blood sugar, but the high fat content means that it slows down digestion and it won't hit your blood sugars that fast. To get 15 grams of carbs from chocolate, you need to eat around 1.5 to 1.6 ounces. The thing is, since it works so slowly, you might be feeling low for a really long time, and you might be more likely to overeat on that chocolate, which will undoubtedly put you on the blood sugar roller coaster. Before we wrap up, let me give you a pro tip. You've heard me talk about 15 grams of carbs to treat a low blood sugar, but have you heard about the 15-15 rule? The 15-15 rule is eat 15 grams of carbohydrates, wait 15 minutes, and then reassess if you need more carbohydrates. The way that I do it is, if I feel a low blood sugar, the first thing I do is I measure my blood sugar so that I actually know if it's a low blood sugar or not. And then I treat it with usually around 15 grams of carbohydrates. And then I set an alarm on my phone for 15 minutes. After those 15 minutes, I measure my blood sugar again, and I assess whether or not I need more carbohydrates. I also wear a continuous glucose monitor, or a CGM, but when I check if my blood sugar is actually low or if I need more carbs, I don't rely on it. I rely on my glucometer. So a few things. A CGM can be inaccurate, but the main thing is that it's generally 10 minutes behind what's actually going on in the blood. So when you do that reassessment after 15 minutes, it doesn't really make sense to look at your CGM given the 10-minute lag time. So your CGM might say that you're still at 70, whereas your blood sugar might actually be above. And another thing, we don't always need 15 grams of carbs. Sometimes you need less, sometimes you need more. For example, for me in the morning, so before I've eaten, I can often fix a low blood sugar with as little as 1 glucose tab, so that's 4 grams of carbs. You might need more. We're all very different, but I think it's worth paying attention to how much do you need to treat at different times of day and for different situations. So what is your favorite low snack? And what is the weirdest thing that you've eaten to treat a low blood sugar? I'd love to know. Leave a comment down below this video. Low blood sugars are the worst, but so are high blood sugars. In this video, you can find some effective strategies on how to lower your blood sugars quickly. It's all about balance. And while you do that, why not subscribe to my channel for more real-life diabetes strategies and turn on notifications. That way, you'll never miss a thing. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.